Version 1.6 of Automobilista 2 further improves many core aspects of the sim, such as the handling and tire model, the graphics, or audio. It also adds a lot of new contents and game features for both offline and online players. In total, I think it is fair to say that the update indeed elevates the game onto another level. So no matter if you are new to the sim, thinking about re-entering, or if you are one of those avid players looking for perfecting their experience, this video shall serve you as a compact guide to set up the game to your needs, as well as add or tweak advanced features to further enhance your experience. Deliberately, it is not comprehensive nor particularly elaborate. However, I think it covers all the essentials, not only to get you started, but also to let you optimize the game and even get a grip on the miraculous world of modding and customization. Also, as we are living in an era of dwindling attention spans, I wanted to make a video that is as digestible as it is entertaining and informative. Please note that first, I've also added a lot of valuable links in the description below, and second, that for some of the topics mentioned here, there are more elaborate how-to videos on my channel. First things first. To be able to play AMS2, you will have to own the game, obviously. It is available through Steam and is on sale regularly. The base game already sports a plethora of contents, including cars and motorsport series of all eras between the 1960s and today, be it open-wheelers, tin tops, or prototypes. You can already have a lot of fun with the core content alone. However, the other almost 50% of contents is DLC only. Hence, if you want it all, or say drive on the Nordschleife, enjoy the IMSA series in full swing, or drive any of Ayrton Senna's F1 cars, there is only one way, namely DLC. The good news is that there is a so-called all-inclusive bundle with which you get everything published and save money compared to buying everything individually. On the other hand, you are free to pick every DLC separately as well. I, for instance, have everything except for the Adrenaline pack because I am not that much into rallycross and dirt racing. Please also note that there is a pretty elaborate and, I think, definitive guide on DLCs on Overtake. Link is in the description. So, but what DLC do you need for online multiplayer? Well, that's a bit more complicated. My tip is, if you are mainly into online multiplayer, you should definitely favor the car-based DLC over the track packs. Why? Because to participate in AMS2 multiplayer, that is on the official servers at least, you will have to own the cars used in the respective multiplayer session. If that's a DLC car, like say the card from the FUSA Gen 2 DLC, you will have to own that DLC. On the other hand, you do not need to own a DLC track featured in a multiplayer session, as long as you own the car used there. If that also applies for LFM and Racecraft and their hosted races there, I cannot confirm, but rumor has it that it works just the same, although their pages say something different. Luckily, AMS2 is a very accessible game which runs and looks great out of the box, even on, let's say, slightly dated or mediocre systems. I easily achieve average frame rates of 100 or more FPS on my 49 monitor running a 5120 by 1440p resolution. Generally speaking, you should be fine with the default graphics and performance settings. However, if you want to tweak a little and squeeze even more FPS out of your PC without losing much quality, I recommend to take a look at the following parameters. On the visual effects, you can of course play around basically and first of all with the post-processing filters and see if turning them off makes any valuable difference for you. I personally wouldn't recommend it. For me, these are necessary for the overall technical and graphical fidelity, but that's of course up to you. Same goes for the further parameters. Put them on or off and see what happens. More importantly, of course, is the graphics and performance screen, where you set your game resolution, the sheer amount of pixels the game has to show. Please also note that you will want to play on borderless if, for example, you're looking for using SimHub overlays. It goes without saying that parameters such as texture resolution, filtering or shadow detail can make big difference regarding FPS. As you can see, I am using rather high settings, which, despite of the more or less huge resolution, still perform greatly. There can be exceptions. For instance, if you're running at Monaco or Long Beach, a full grid with 40 to 50 cars all in one screen, so to say, I have to admit also my frame rate can drop below 40, but that's mainly in the replays. Though AMS2 out of the box looks really good, and the new shaders that have come with version 1.6 have even improved the overall graphics, making the cars and the tracks look and sound even more authentic or realistic. Of course, people like to tweak these settings, and therefore there is a software called Reshade. You may have heard of it. If you want to experiment with the look of the game, enhance the contrast, use another tint, or perhaps if you're looking for some 80s or 90s TV replay aesthetics, there are certain reshades for you to play around with. Other people only like a bit more clarity perhaps. You're also covered. Please only note that reshade always has some impact on your performance. Even if it's just 5 to 15 FPS, this can make a difference and can affect your performance. There is an alternative though, and that is called NVIDIA filters, or if you're an AMD user like me, you can hop over into AMD Adrenalin and enable the custom color settings. By editing and tweaking the sliders, you can have similar results as with certain reshades. Or if you just want to have a bit more brightness, a bit more contrast, or just another color temperature, NVIDIA filter and the custom color in Adrenalin will help you get that. The benefit, of course, is they do not have any impact on your FPS and game performance. As I solely play with the cockpit cam, I have of course set up my FOV according to that camera view, measured my distance from monitor to eye, put all the values in the modern FOV calculator, which you can find online and which is also linked in the description below. And then I took the value that the calculator told me to set up my cockpit cam in-game. On the camera screen there is, however, a second tab that is called movement, where you will find certain parameters to edit and influence how the camera behaves while driving. And depending on how you set that up, this can make a huge difference, from a super static horizontal view to a completely wild, over the top, being thrown around in the car view, which, well, has also a flavor to it. Here, again, like in so many aspects, do whatever suits you and what you like. Regarding game modes, Automobilista 2 offers you the well-known selection of test day, time trial, single session, which is basically a race weekend, multiplayer of course, as well as the feature I, as mainly a single player, has had the most fun with, and this is Championship, especially the custom Championship. I've done several of these private and featured on my channel, sporting early IMSA WEC contents, several F1 series, as well as the awesome licensed content, the Brazilian Stock Car Pro series, combined with skin packs and custom AI provided by the community. This for me is the main reason to play AMS2. Doing a more or less fully fledged F1 1990 season in Nigel Mansell's Ferrari against Senna, Prost, Piquet. Honestly, the most fun I've had in recent years doing sim racing. New with update 1.6, now there is also a so-called preset button which tailors all of the game modes down to one specific series. For instance, today's F1, IMSA or Procar M1. In essence, this means you still have all the game modes, but tailored to the particular series' regulations, parameters, specs, and so on. So if, for instance, you're picking the IMSA preset, the single session feature will automatically switch into multi-class, offering you all the endurance parameters used in the IMSA series. And the same, of course, goes for every other preset. FFB, force feedback, one of the most subjective and controversial topics in sim racing. Is FFB good in AMS2? Is obviously not the question I'm going to answer here because, well, apparently I wouldn't have played the game that much if I had not liked it, and I wouldn't do this video if I didn't. So with that out of the way, let's look on what settings there are in Automobilista 2 and how you can get more or even the best out of it. Under the controls setting, you set up the wheel you're using. There are 5 wheels, 5 presets you can configure and save. And under the force feedback tab, there are the respective parameters to further tweak your feel. Apart from the preset, the most important parameter here is the type. Automobilista 2 offers 3 types of FFB: default, default plus, which is a, well, let's say refined version, and custom. While for me, default isn't that satisfying, at least compared to the other two. Default Plus for many players is the way to go. I personally am using a custom FFB, the R-Factor file, which you can also find on Overtake and which I've, of course, linked in the description below. So apart from the obvious one, the gain, which in my case is on 40, I'm using a SimiCube Sport 2. There is also the low force boost. The recommendation from Razer is put that on 0. If you have a direct drive wheel, put it higher if you do not. More importantly is the next 2 sliders, that's the FX and damping slider. FX regulates the intensity of tire scrub, brake lockup, the feeling of over and understeer, as well as road surface, let's say textures, feel like bumps and cracks in the road. A very important slider, which if you set it too high, can more or less ruin your overall experience. Damping is a slider most drivers also have, so play around with that one. In my case, I'm good with about 20 to 30 to not have the wheel vibrate all of the time. One more important note, apart from all these settings here, we still have a per vehicle gain slider once we are in a session. There you can still decrease or increase the FFB gain value, which is at 100% by default. I have found that this is a good value which I use for most Razer cars, but on the other hand, for mod cars, like the ones from Thunderflash for instance, I like to increase that value up to perhaps 115 to 120 to have sort of the same feel that I have from the Razer cars. In the end, FFB is a very subjective topic. Go for what you think a car should feel like. Pick values that make you feel connected and in control of the vehicle you're driving. Mods, modding, and customization have become a real factor in AMS2, which enhance my gaming experience big time. Be it by adding cars that are not from Razer, for example, the great conversions by Thunderflash, which have exceeded more than 30 files and over, I'd say, 60, 70 cars, I've lost count, be it the mods from the Chaos team or the Project Cars modding team. The latter also offer certain track conversions from Project Cars 2, for instance, or Project Cars 1 even. So if you think you're done with the basic content, these additions can enhance your gaming experience. For me personally, I mainly use mods to complement existing series. For instance, to get some more GT3 cars in the game or more DTM or Group C cars. As Automobilista 2 has also a certain openness towards modding, it is, for instance, possible to then merge and unite these mod car classes with the existing classes in AMS2. The benefit then is you will not have to pick a multi-class session to drive, for example, all the GT3s together, but that the Razer cars and the mod cars appear under the same label and in the same class. If you hop over to Overtake and there into the AMS2 modding section, you will see that most of the mods are skins or liveries or livery packs for the existing series. And that is wonderful because Razer only has a limited amount of licenses. Therefore, most of the default skins are not original and authentic. So again, if you'd like to do the F1 1986 season with real skins, go to Overtake, download the respective skin pack. Same goes for Group C, DTM, GD4, old GD1, whatever. I haven't counted them, but other people have, like John B. Ellis, who has even put up a spreadsheet, and I'm gladly taking a second here to thank you all guys for your work. Have at least enhanced my gaming experience big time. Thank you. Moreover, there is this thing called custom AI, which basically is a XML file consisting of driver names and skills which are allocated to certain cars and liveries. And since we are able to pick individual numbers for more than a dozen parameters like race skill, qualification skill, wet race skill, vehicle reliability, avoidance of mistake, under pressure and not, and so forth, it is possible to create super accurate grids of existing or historical series. I've spent hours over hours over hours tweaking these values before and while doing my custom championships with the classic F1 seasons, for example. Custom AI in combination with the skin packs are the way to go to get the most authenticity out of AMS2. But modding, of course, also means third-party programs that can enhance your driving experience, and I think most of you know, for instance, Crew Chief, a very versatile spotter app, or of course SimHub, a super powerful software for dashboards, overlays, transducers, vibrators, whatever. I won't go into detail on what these apps and programs do. Instead, I only want to say this: I couldn't live, or more precisely, drive without them anymore. So feel free to get to know these apps, explore their possibilities, as well as all the modding and customization options AMS2 offers. I think with version 1.6, AMS2 is more on the move than ever. And I just hope, not only for us single players, but also for all multiplayers out there, the collaborations with LFM and Racecraft look very promising. Please tell me what you think about the current state of the game. Do you have any additions or corrections to my compact guide here? Please tell me in the comments. But most of all, enjoy your driving. Thanks a lot for watching. See you on the next one. Bye.